All right, what's up, guys, and welcome back to another conversation with John. And today we are getting into episode 6 of All Her Fault on Peacock. I've definitely enjoyed this series thus far, and episode 6 is definitely jam packed. So let's get into it. All right, so open scene of episode 6. We have Milo. We found him because the call we got from the end of episode 5 was the police saying a boy was found at the station. So we get Milo is found. He's reunited with his mom and dad, and everybody's so happy to see him. They found him. He was in the trunk of a car. It was what he that was the opening scene. He was in the trunk of a car. The alarm is going off in some type of parking lot. So he ends up at the police station, and his parents are so happy to see him. He's like, "Well, Mama, why are you crying?" And she's like, "I'm just so happy to see you. I'm just so happy to see you." Because at this point, Milo's been gone for like a week. So Milo hasn't been harmed, says Director Detective Alcaraz. Nothing's wrong with him. He's perfectly fine. And so they wanted to sit there and talk to him. So Milo says that he's been on a vacation, and the detective starts asking him like basic questions, like the kind of stuff he was doing. And Milo was like, "Well, he had Fruit Loops for breakfast, and he got to ride." And so the detectives are like, "Well, how long was your ride in the trunk of the car?" Because they're playing with cars on the table, and he pulls it back, and he's like, "Was it fast or was it slow?" And Milo ends up pulling the car, and it goes fast. So they knew he was in the back of the trunk for a relatively short amount of time. And so Marissa's like, um, she's like, "Well, my son wasn't found. He was returned, and he's returned by who?" Because it's like, okay, well, if y'all didn't find him, who? How the fuck did he get back, and who brought him back? And so that's one of the mysteries that we don't know right now. So then not Perita, Peter, and um, Peter and Marissa end up going home with Milo, and by the time they make it home, Milo's asleep, and Leah, Colin, and Ryan are there, and everybody's happy to see Milo, but he sleeps. So Marissa goes and puts him down for bed. And of course, his siblings, well, everybody's looking at Peter like he's crazy. And all Peter can say is, "Well, family's all that matters." I mean, using this situation to get out of the bullshit he done took them through. Family's all that matters. I guess Peter, bro. So here's a scene in which Milo was found in. Like I said, he was in this car in this parking lot, and the detectives are just trying to see, like, okay, we need to search all the surrounding motels and hotels or whatever to kind of see where Milo was being kept, because the last place they knew he was at those seaside rental cottages. And so um yeah, they last seen him at the seaside rental cottages, and so they need to find out where he was between there and being returned here. So that is their next mission. So then we get to Jenny and Archie, and Jenny and Archie find out that Milo's been returned, and Archie, he's the worst character on this show. I fucking hate him. He's the absolute worst. Like I said last time, I want Jenny to leave his ass so fucking bad. All he could say was, "Well, at least you're not on the hook for this anymore." Like, why would you say something like that? He Archie is the absolute worst character on this show. Absolutely horrible. So then we go to Marissa and Milo. They're in the breakfast. They're supposed to be cooking birthday pancakes, because I feel like it's like Milo's birthday is like that Saturday or that day or something like that. So they're supposed to be cooking birthday pancakes. And Milo starts throwing a fucking tantrum, talking about he wants some fucking Fruit Loops, because that's what Carrie had been giving him. Carrie's so fun, and she gave me Fruit Loops, and we played all kind of games and whatnots. And so Peter's like, "Well, I mean, there is no guide for us to know how to go do this. Like something that we've never been through. So we don't really know what to do. We just got to take it one step at a time." Yeah, because that's what I forgot to mention. Once they found Milo, he when his parents came was hugging him, he was like, "Well, where's Carrie?" So he's been with Carrie all week, and Carrie don't let him do any and everything, and now he wants the fun times he done had with Carrie back. And so um Yeah, so Peter's like, there's no guidebook for this. We got to just take it one step at a time. He's going to be a little bit different, but we got to take it one step at a time. So then the cops come and they start showing pictures of Milo to a bunch of different hotel rooms in the area because they're trying to figure out like where he was. And so Milo's looking through all the pictures or whatever, and he picks the orange one. He's like, "Well, this is where I was." He's like, it looks like a chameleon. And Marissa's like, well, he knows chameleons because it's from a book that we've been reading together. And which goes to show parents, if you're not reading to your children, read to your fucking kids. It's important. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Milo knew what a chameleon was because that's from the book that they had been reading. And so now the police have an idea of like where they need to search to be able to find Milo, what hotel or whatever that they need to go to. And so Marissa ends up talking to the cops, and the detective Alvarez basically tells her like usually when victims are returned, a ransom has been paid. And Marissa's like, well, we never got a call about a ransom. But after last night, Marissa, you ought to know that Peter is a liar. And so most likely he did get a call about a ransom. So he may have not told you, but hopefully that's in the back of your mind that Peter is up to some shit, and he most likely got that call about some ransom, a ransom rather. And so the next, like during later in the day, Jenny and Jacob come over so the boys can play together. And Jenny is like, "Well, I'm so happy that Milo's been returned." And she basically is telling her, like, "Look, I wanted to be your friend or whatever, and I just didn't want you to think I was just doing this to make it seem like I didn't have anything to do with Milo disappearing." And Marissa's like, well, I never thought that. Like, you've gone over and beyond to kind of help with the situation. I never considered the fact that you had something to do with it. And they're talking. The boys end up fighting and they hear like something fall or something like that. So they both run over to see what's going on. And they're fighting because Jacob says that, what's the shot? Milo is saying that Carrie liked him better, even though Carrie was Jacob's nanny. And it just goes to show the innocence of kids. It's just like, okay, yeah, she took me with her and she ain't take you, so she likes me better. Little did you know, Milo, you was being kidnapped, baby, and you was probably about to see the end of your days for all you know. So yeah, it just shows the innocence of kids. And so Jenny ends up taking Jacob, and they end up leaving. So then we end up getting to Detective Alvarez. They end up finding the motel that Milo was in. There's only one motel room, according to the manager, that there was a kid in. So they go into the room and they find this dude who's dead. He's been hit over the head with a lamp. So they got to figure out, well, who was this man and what kind of happened through the process of all of this shit. So then we get to Jenny. She's taking Jacob to school, and Jenny has a meeting with the author that her publishing company signed for later on that day. So of course Archie has a Quizzix meeting. So he can't raise his own child. So she has to beg Sarah basically to help her to watch Jacob that afternoon. And of course Sarah's like, well, yeah, I'll watch him, but you gotta volunteer for something if I do. And so Jenny's like, okay, well, I'll volunteer. So Jenny takes her ass on to work, and Sarah's happy because she done con somebody into doing something that she needs to do. So then we get to Brian. I guess he's waking up for the morning and he's leaving his cottage on the property, and he sees all these men outside working or whatever. And he's like, he ends up talking to Peter, and he's like, well, is this you beefing up the security? Is this basically to keep us in or keep people out? And Peter begins to apologize, like, I'm just so sorry, and all this, that, and the third. And they end up having a conversation, and I guess smoothing it over a little bit. And Brian is like, well, I'll call Leah so she can come over because Leah hasn't been talking to Peter. And so then we jump to Peter and not Peter, Lord, Colin and Leah laying in the bed, caking it up and whatnot. And Leah's just like, I mean, I don't really know what to do. This man has been lying to me for damn near 30 something years that I permanently disabled my brother. That is a lot to deal with. It is a lot to deal with. Like, how are you supposed to feel that your brother has made you feel like you've injured your other brother? Like she, a lot of I know that that has affected her and caused a lot of her issues with addiction and different things like that because she's just felt so bad. And so Colin is just like, well, I mean, I'll be with you the whole time. And she's like, well, I do kind of want to see Milo. So they ended up agreeing to go over there, and they end up agreeing to go over there to kind of try to smooth over the situation. So the cops end up telling that they found a dead guy in the hotel room, in the motel room rather, where Milo was being kept. And so at the same time that they're no, yeah, the cops end up finding no, the cops end up IDing the dead guy, and while they're doing that, that he gets ready. But at the same time that that's happening, because stuff is happening with people all over the place. So they ID the guy, and they're getting ready to go to his next of kin's house. And so at the same time, Marissa, because she's so paranoid that Carrie is going to come back because they haven't found Carrie, she's looking for baby monitors, and she ends up finding a duffel bag full of money at the top of Milo's closet. And while she's doing that, in walks Peter, and he's like, "Oh, I can explain." And he's like, "I can explain." Um, he's like, "I can explain." You had to control the situation so bad that you didn't tell me or the police, and you could have basically fucked up our chances of getting our son back. And while they're sitting here arguing about that, Detective Riggs ends up calling Marissa, and he's like begging her, like, please don't say anything to the cops. Please don't say anything to the cops. And so he tells her that they've identified the dead man, who's Rob Murphy, who's heavily involved in illegal gambling. After that, we get Jenny, who had to go pick up Jacob Sarah's house because one of Sarah's kids is sick or something like that. And so Jenny to get Jacob, and Sarah's like, well, I tried to call Richie first, but he didn't answer the phone. But we ended up seeing him at the park sitting in his car. So I don't know what happened. And then she's like, basically, you need to get a check on what's going on in your house. Cause yeah, y'all got some shit going on with y'all. And Jenny goes off on you. Telling me I need to get on going on what my house is going on in my house, and fuck you and your volunteering because I ain't fucking helping you. And Jenny storms off, and Sarah's like, "Oh yeah, I knew you had it in you. Now your claws want to come out," and she closes the door. So then we go back to Detective Alcaraz, and they're he's on his way to South Shore because that's the dead guy, Rob Murphy. That's where his ex lives. And the other detective is like, well, that's where Kyle is from. So maybe Kyle is connected to the dead Rob is connected to Kyle, not Carrie. And Detective Alcaraz is like, well, maybe they're all connected. And so next thing we notice is Jenny ends up pulling up the park to go confront Richie. And there he goes on his phone, cackling, watching TikToks. And she pulls up on him, and she's like, basically like, what the fuck you got going on? I thought you was at the Quizzix meeting last semester. And he says that he basically did it so it could force Jenny to spend more time with Jacob. And it's just like, motherfucker, what you mean you did this to force me to spend more time with our son? Like you doing something to help me, as if you spend so much time with him. You ain't doing shit. And rightfully so, Jenny is mad as hell. And Richie is just like, she's like, well, you just make, and it's like you do it on purpose so she can stop asking. And she ends up basically asking him for a divorce because she ain't having it. Like Monica is not having it, so she she ends up asking him for a divorce, and rightfully so, because the nigga ain't shit. You might as well be a single parent at this point, because Richie he's horrible, and he's like, well, I don't want my son to think bad of me. And she was like, well, when Jacob does grow up, he'll realize that why I ended up divorcing you. And he'll never treat a woman the way that you have been treating me. Rightfully so, Jenny. You rightfully so. And I'm glad you decided to leave Richie, because he ain't nothing but a gaslighter and a bullshit ass man. So you can do bad all by yourself, girl. You don't need him. So once Detective Alcaraz, and again, I don't remember the other detective's name. I probably should know it, but I don't remember. Whatever. So Detective Alcaraz and the other detective get to South Shore, and look who's at the door. It's the lady from the job when they was looking for Kyle. Her name is Irene, and Irene is the ex of the dead man, Rob Murphy. And so she's like, well, I don't talk to cops. And he's like, well, if you don't let us come in, we're gonna go get a warrant and come back. So she ends up letting them in, and they end up having a chit chat. And so they start asking her questions about Rob, and she's like, well, that's my ex or whatever, and I ain't got nothing to do with it. And so they end up asking her for a picture of him. She's like, well, I only got one picture of him. So she reaches in her little cabinet and pulls out a picture, and this is the picture. And so they're like, so y'all had a kid together? And she's like, yeah. And the cops say, well, how old is she? Like 22 or something? The same age as the kidnapper? Like, basically, what's her name? And Irene is like, she don't really want to say anything. And then she finally says something. She's like, well, her name is Josephine Murphy. And they asked for a picture of her, and she claims that she basically is like, she clams up and she ain't trying to say nothing. And they're like, well, either you give us a pic or we're gonna come back with a warrant or the cops or whatever. And so Irene confirms that her daughter is Carrie, which is fucking crazy. So now we know how all this is connected. So Carrie is connected to Kyle, because, well, we don't know how they're connected. We just know that the dead man is Carrie's father. Kyle is also dead, and Carrie's out on the lam somewhere. That's all we know. So what happened next? So then we jump to Marissa. Marissa's in bed after Peter puts Milo down for bed after he been showing his ass for most of the day. Peter puts Milo down for bed and comes lays in the bed, and Marissa's on the computer. And Marissa's like, she realized that the dude that's dead, Rob Murphy, is a bookie. And so she's like, she's going through was flagged with suspicious activity, and she got a call on it on the day that Milo went missing. And she was preoccupied, so she told Colin to handle it. And he said that he would take care of it. So Peter's like, okay, so what does that have to do with anything? And she's like, well, a lot of the accounts, including Leah's, have suspicious activity. And that's why, and she felt like that Colin may be defrauding the company and involved in the kidnapping. And so while they're having this discussion, there's the alarm goes off because Colin and Leah are at the door because they were at his house and they came to their house. So, and Brian opens the door, and Marissa's like, well, she's gonna confront Colin, and she gets her ass up and starts running downstairs to go confront him. And Peter's like, no, wait, but it's too late. And so Marissa gets downstairs and is like, well, basically, bitch, please tell me that you ain't have nothing to do with this. Please tell me you ain't have nothing to do with it. And this, and Colin sitting there with a fucking duck look on his face. And he was like, well, fine. He basically starts telling her, it's like, well, my bookie came to see him on Easter weekend, and he just didn't think that it had anything to do with what was going on. And she's like, well, what do you mean you didn't think it had anything to do on? He was like, well, I would never hurt Milo. I would die for him. So they sitting here going back and forth, and they arguing and whatnots, and just they're arguing and going back and forth and whatnots, and nobody's paying attention. And pop up, guess who? There's Carrie with a fucking gun, and everybody's got a duck look on their face like, And while they're arguing, before Carrie pops up, the detectives ends up calling Peter. So Peter's on the phone with the detective, and Carrie pops up with a gun, and everybody just freezes. And that ends up being the end of the episode. So this episode was crazy. It had a lot going on in it. We connected more dots. We know that Irene, the lady at the bus, was um married to the dead guy, Rob Murphy, is Josephine, aka Carrie's parents. So we got Carrie's parents and we got Kyle. We don't really know how they're connected as of yet, or how they're connected as of yet. We just know that Carrie went to the jail to go see Kyle before he got out. So some kind of way they're all connected in the gist of all of this. And Carrie done popped up at the house. We know that Kyle is dead. We know that Rob Murphy is dead. Yeah, we know that Rob Murphy is dead, but we don't know the dots to connect how all of this is going on. Because again, we know that Colin, the bookie, Rob is a bookie. He came to Easter weekend to come see Colin. So at this point, it's just like, well, were they trying to kidnap Milo because of Colin and trying to get some? We don't really know. It's just up in the air. But we'll see, I guess, in episode 7. We only got 2 more episodes to go. I greatly anticipate seeing what happens. I'm so glad that Jenny has decided to divorce Richie, because Richie ain't shit. Amen to that. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment, like, subscribe, all that. And we'll see you again next time for a Conversation John with episode 7 of All Her Fault. All right, peace.